Hello again, lovely viewers, and welcome back to the Investment Journey episode 2, which will be regarding compound interest. Last week we spoke about how to make money as a student, how to save the money you make, and this week we'll be talking about compound interest. It is a very good instrument, which on today's video the topic will be for you to understand it, to know how to calculate it, and most importantly to show you how your money are not earning anything if you're not using this compound interest I'm talking about. But if you want to learn more, sit back, relax and tune in to the video. So, compound interest. Before we go into that though, we need to turn one step back to the previous episode, which was regarding saving money. If compound interest is to play a role in whatever way in your investments or your saving money which you have, first you need to have them. So, in order to better show you how compound interest works, I'm going to give two examples. The first one will be the so-called shawarma example, which I taught about last video when I made the brief description of what if you save £5 or €5 or 5 whatever the currency in your country is saving from shawarma every day. And the second example I'm going to give is more of a real life one. So depending, we'll make a budget with which you can save this much amount and what that money can make you in a couple of years using the compound interest which I'm going to talk about today. But before that, it would be a great pleasure of mine if you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon and gently press the like button. So it could help us a lot in continuing doing these videos, and I thank you very much for that. So, when speaking about compound interest, I want to start from the basics. As you know, the idea of this channel is to give you the simplest explanations possible, which could make even a stupid person understand what I'm talking about. So, before we dig deeper into compound interest, we'll go some steps back and explain what is an interest. An interest on your money, I'll give an example as it is easier. For example, you have $1,000. You can deposit this money in the bank, and in return, the bank can give you interest on your money because you deposit your money in the bank, they can operate with it, giving loans to other people, etc. So for using your money, they are giving you an interest, so you're inclined to give them your money. So for example, if they give you back a 5% interest on these $1,000, in 1 year's time or 6 months' time, depending on the condition, you're going to receive $50 on your $1,000 back. So you have 5%, as I said, on this $1,000. Compound interest, on the other hand, is basically an interest on the interest you receive. So your principal, let's explain what's principal, sorry. A principal is the money you put in, so interest can gather on it. So these $1,000 I gave an example about, they are the principal. And the interest is what comes up on top of it every year. So compound interest basically is, if you have these $1,000 and you earn 5% interest on them every year, you don't withdraw your earnings. So these $50 which you earned last year stay there. And next year you receive the same 5% interest, but this time on $1,050, not only the $1,000. So this year you make $55 from it. So as you can see, the interest grows. So if you keep it for another year, this 1,000 plus 50 plus 55, that will make $1,105. We will receive 5% on this money. So then it will grow bigger and bigger and bigger. That's what compound interest is. But for you to really open your eyes about how I don't really understand why they don't teach it more excessively at universities or high schools. Just this simple thing, to me at least, was such an eye-opener what a little bit of time can make with your money. I mean, when you put something, for example, invest the money in the stock market or in the real estate or even deposits in banks, but we'll speak more about later, 5, 10 to 20 years of growth with 5 or 10% interested on that, that could make so much money. I mean, it's mind-blowing. And I'll show you, because my idea here is to show you why the hell you are not using compound interest, why you don't know about it, how can you start using it. That's the idea of this clip. This time I switched to my laptop. I deeply apologize for the quality of the camera, but it's easier for me to show you what I mean. So, how to calculate compound interest? Very simple. You go to a web browser, in my case Google Chrome, and you write compound interest calculator. Not really difficult. All of them are pretty fine and pretty easy to operate. I use this one, which is the one from MoneyChimp. It's kind of top 3 when you search it in Google. So we'll use this as an example. As you can see on the screen, we have the current principal, which, as we discussed, is the money you use to invest or deposit or whatever. Then we have annual addition. Usually compound interest is calculated on an annuity, so every year the sum which you have invested gets an interest on it and it compounds. So when calculating compound interest, you just sum up everything you save each month, multiply by 12, and that's your annual addition. Years to grow, it's depending on how much years you want to invest your money, and the interest rate, of course, which depends on the different investment opportunities and strategies you wish to choose. And then you can say, of course, compound interest, how many times it actually compounds a year. Most commonly is 1 time, so you just don't change that. And then when do you make the additions of the money annually? Usually use it as the start of the period, because you invest all the time every month. So that's how it usually should be. So let's start with the first kind of a joke example, but it turned out not to be such. And that's the shawarma example I was speaking before. So if you spend €5 or whatever the currency in your country is, every day for shawarma, you actually spend 5 multiplied by 30, €150 for shawarma every month, which annually translates to 1,825. So let's say that you don't have anything saved till now. Okay, fine. Then let's take the 5 years to grow, which is set here, and interest rate. So depending on what you choose, either a safer option, which is like an index fund, or a very good high yield savings account in a bank, it could vary. But from personal opinion, let's say that the average interest rate you can make is 6% per year, which evened out by drops in the market as of now because of the virus, and ups as before that on the tech sector. Sometimes could be 12%, sometimes could be minus, so average is 6, and we compound it at the start of each period. Then you press calculate and you have around $11,000 saved for 5 years. But without compound interest, you have only $9,000. So you're just missing out on $2,000 for doing nothing, which, as I said, is kind of stupid to me if you're not doing it. But that's not the main point. The main point is that compound interest becomes stronger the more time you use it. So instead of 5 years, let's say you want 10 years of savings. So if you save your $5 from shawarma every month for 10 years, you have around 18,000 saved without investing it and using compound interest. But then let's say you've been smart. You've you've invested that. And then you kinda manage to get 5% annually, which is a little bit low, but let's take the bad example. So instead of 18,000, which you see here, when we calculate it, now we have 24,000, which is 6,000 more than what you have without these 5%. And then very simply, I'll just show the power of the interest. Let's say for 10 years, 5%, but then you have 6%. And watch the difference here. Between 24,000, for just 1% difference, you have 25.5. So $1,500, just like that, with 1% difference. And I'm just not showing you the most common approach, which is what I do. I do that very long term, so 20 to 25 years ahead, because as I said, live frugally but nicely. And then if you've been smart, invested at the long term, when you're 40 or 40 something if you start late, you have much more money than the rest of your friends. That's at least my opinion, and we'll see what happens. So let's say that instead you use your $5 every day for 20 years. So for 20 years you save $36,500. But then for 20 years, if we put that 5% we put each time, you now have 63,000, which is not double, but almost. And then just put this 1% and look here, we have 63,000 around. Then with 1% more, we have 71. That is $7,000 difference for 1%. Interested now? Does it seem interesting to you? Does it seem like a good opportunity? Something to do with your money, which will go further in the episodes of how to actually do that? Good. And now I want to briefly give you a little bit of a dream with an actual example, which will be if we save around $1,000 each month. Let's say you've graduated high school and university, you have that good job which you wanted and dreamed to do, and you manage to save 1,000 every month. For 12 months, that's 12,000 of, let's say, euro. Here it's dollars, but let's say euro as we're in the European Union. For 20 years to grow this money, you save 240,000, which is not bad, saving 1,000 every month for 20 years. But let's put the 5% interest which we have now. So can you guess what will happen? 420,000. So how does it seem? Almost double, and then 1% here from 416, let's say 417 for the ease of the example. 1% equals kind of $50,000. $50 for the years and the money. And of course, if you're very lucky and put 10% just for the sake of to put you into more interest in that compound interest. You see, it was a joke. That's 757,000 for 4% more than your original 5%. That's the power of just compound interest. And what is that? 1,000 of whatever currency every month with a full-time job for 20 years. If you're like, how much? 20? I'm 22 now. If I do that for 20 years, I'll be 42 and I'll have almost 1 million. It's not that difficult, do you see? Of course, we'll discuss on how to do it, because that's the most important part. But this episode, the idea is for you to understand, which I hope you have, what is compound interest, and to show you, as an example here, how much money you are missing on if you are not using compound interest. So now you know what compound interest is. We showed you where to find it, how to calculate it, and most importantly, you need to be certain that you want to use it, because as I've showed you, that can make a great difference to your savings and also to your life in the future. Next episode, we'll be speaking about investment opportunities and more specifically speaking, in the financial markets. We'll discuss more on what we spoke about today, where to find that investment opportunity and how to use it to achieve that compound interest we spoke about. But for now, I thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.